Now joining me on the Peerless Boilers Hotline, Peerless builds America's best boilers. He was a fan favorite the last time he was on this show with us in Dallas at Radio Row. He was just so good talking Green Bay Packers as they ended up winning the Super Bowl, defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the Packers play the Giants this week, Sunday at 4:30. And Jerry Kramer joins us right now, the two-time Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers. Jerry, Zach Gelb here, TalkUSA.tv. It's great to have you back on again. How are you doing?
Hey, Zach, I'm doing great, thanks. Nice to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you back on. And, you know, the Baseball Hall of Fame, the nominees and the people that were elected into the Hall of Fame came out yesterday. And I was talking about this on another show. And when I was talking about it, I was just stunned. I go, I know it's the MLB, but when you look at the NFL Hall of Fame, you should really be in there. I'm baffled by it. You were a vital asset on those two sweep plays. We all know that. You won the two Super Bowls, and your whole backfield was in there with the Golden Boy, Jim Taylor, and Bart Starr. They were all in there in the Hall of Fame. Does it just shock you that you're still not in the Hall of Fame?
You know, it's a funny situation for me, Zach. I kind of anticipated. I was one of the first 50-year football team members. I was chosen as the first 50-year team, and everyone on that team is in the Hall of Fame except me. And so I kind of watched that, and I assumed that would happen, and then it didn't happen. I was nominated 10 different times, I think, and it just couldn't get over the hump for whatever reason. I never did hear or never did find out, but recently there's been a couple nice things happen for me that it's just at this point in my life is like smattering of applause, and it's nice. It's pleasant. Someone picked the top 10 all-time Packers, and I was picked as one of the top 10 all-time Packers, from back in the 20s to today, which is a wonderful, wonderful honor and a wonderful thing. And then CBS picked a top 10 living legends, and I was picked as part of that group. And so it's very nice. It's wonderful to have that applause and to have that recognition and to have everything, but you can't help but go, well, what happened to the Hall of Fame? What is that about? Why? And so I'm as confused. I was talking to Commissioner Goodell about 3 years ago. He called. We were working on the alumni disability and pension issues, and he said, "Jerry, are you going to Canton?" And I go, "No, I'm not." He said, "How come?" And I said, "Commissioner, I'm not in the Hall of Fame." He said, "You're not? Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
Yeah.
What the hell's that all about?"
You know, last time you were on the show, John Hanna, he also said that to you, and he asked you, are you going to the Hall of Fame this year in Canton? And you said, no, I'm not in it. So if the commissioner of the NFL thinks you're in the Hall of Fame and you're not, you would just think a little bit, Jerry, that the voters or the senior committee would finally say, let's put 64 in the Hall of Fame.
Well, Zach, I appreciate the thought, and I appreciate the efforts. And my daughter has been running a little campaign recently at jerrykramer.com or
Jerry Kramer 4.
Jerry Kramer 4 HOF. And so anything would be appreciated, and it's all wonderful, Zach. All the applause, all the recognition, all the great things that have happened to me over the years have just been an incredible life experience, and I have no complaints. I have no bitches about what football has done for me and what a joy it has been. So I'm a pretty happy camper.
And when you were playing with the Green Bay Packers through those first two Super Bowls, you did win both of them. The Packers have a chance to repeat in back-to-back years. This week they get their playoff run started coming up against the New York Giants. That's Sunday at 4:30. What do you think Vince Lombardi's message would be to this current team if he was still alive and he could make one and he was coaching the Packers this Sunday?
You're a good football team. You're a great football team. You've got great teammates. You've got great players, and you should win this football game. You're a better football team. Now just go out there and play with your heart, play with your head, play with your emotions. Keep your focus. Don't make any silly mistakes. Don't get kicked out of a ball game or do anything silly. Just play the way you're capable of playing, execute, focus, bring your energy, bring your desire, bring your heart, and let's go play football.
Now watching,
and he would be somewhere in that neighborhood.
pretty dead on. And now watching football as much as I do each and every weekend, every time a team scores a touchdown, whether it's a running back, a quarterback, or wide receiver, or sometimes even a defensive lineman like we saw last year with B.J. Raji, you always look around to see if there's a penalty flag being thrown for a 15-yard penalty. Let's just say if Vince Lombardi had Stevie Johnson on his team, the man that did the Plaxico Burress gun-like celebration that cost his team 15 yards, and have also ripped up his shirt that said Happy New Year, it's 2012. How do you think Lombardi would react to those 15-yard penalties?
Mister, what in the hell do you think you're doing? If we have any more of that kind of activity around here, you'll be gone. The next time you do something stupid and cost your team a penalty and cost them yards, you'll be playing for somebody else. And heavy on the mister.
Well, now let's taking things to more of a serious note. Terrible news out there in Green Bay with what happened to the offensive coordinator's son who passed away. How do you players stay focused knowing what's going on within a dear friend and a coach of that offensive coordinator? How are those guys staying focused where you look at it, yes, football is a game and there's things that mean more than football, just like the life of a human being. And now you see this guy and your offensive coordinator, you don't know if he's going to be there on the sidelines on Sunday. How are those players, do you think, in that locker room are reacting to this?
You know, death is such a mystery, Zach, for all of us, even old people like me and certainly young people like you. And it always seems to be put you at a sense of loss, a loss for words, a loss of ability to express your emotions, just a confoundment. You know, you just don't understand what's going on, what's happening. And when a young life is taken at an early age that has such great promise and great future and untouched almost, you know, it just seems especially tragic. And so it's a hard thing to put up on a shelf. It's a hard thing to put away. It's a hard thing to say, let's just focus on the game and forget about that. So I would kind of think that they would remember that, and that they would remember the young boy, and they might dedicate the game to him and to the coach, and do something in his memory, and maybe something like that to honor him and to honor his memory, rather than to think about playing without thinking about him.
We're talking to Jerry Kramer, all-pro offensive lineman for many years in Green Bay. The Packers play the Giants this Sunday. And Jerry, the Packers, you look at this team in Week 17, they rested a lot of their guys going up against the Detroit Lions in a shootout game where Matt Flynn threw for over 500 yards, and they were off a bye week last week. With those 2 weeks being off and a lot of rest going through those players' bones, can you kind of see a sloppy start for the Packers coming out of the gate on Sunday?
Yeah, it's possible, Zach. It's possible, but they're a pretty veteran team. They've been to town, and I'm sure they've had plenty of workouts, and I'm sure they're being pushed. And the good news is that everybody is well. Starks is well, Jennings is well. The offensive line is healed. They're in pretty good shape, and it looks like everybody's going to be ready to play. So they have been. Coach McCarthy has kept them on an even keel all season. This 18-0 quest, or 16-0, quest that they were on didn't seem to bother them at all. You know, okay, this is game 5, and we're worried about game 6. This is game 12, and we're worried about game 13. And so he has kept them on a very even keel, and their whole attitude about the season and about their place in professional football, it has a lack of arrogance, a lack of ego about it. Charles Woodson, yeah, we played a good game. I had 2 interceptions. Yeah, it was a good, solid game, but we can do better. We made some mistakes out there that we got to correct, and we can do better. Aaron Rodgers, it was a good, solid game, and we can do better. So I would expect them to be emotionally ready to play and physically ready to play and fit, and there might be, there's a tendency to think about a little rust early, and maybe a snap or this or a procedure
Now, I've asked this question to many offensive linemen, whether it was Tony Baselli or Roman Oben, who have both been on this show before, and the Giants have a great pass rush, and it's a very difficult task going up against the Green Bay Packers this week, and you have to get to the quarterback number 12 and put him down into the ground. But Jason Pierre-Paul is having a great season. He's been making open field tackles. He's been getting to the quarterback, causing havoc, and he's also been blocking field goals as well. Being the offensive lineman you are, being one of the best offensive linemen in the game that has ever seen, how would you try to contain Jason Pierre-Paul?
Well, Pierre-Paul went public and explained to everybody how wonderful he was and how wonderful the Giants were and how they were going to whip the Packers, which I don't think is a real good idea. You know, you can say a lot of things, but claiming that this is the way it's going to be puts a kind of an X on his jersey, or a target. And so they are going to make damn sure that if he gets there, he's going to have to defeat at least two guys. So I expect that they will adjust to that. Aaron has been brilliant in terms of getting rid of the ball quickly, and everybody that plays Green Bay, Zach, wants to get to Aaron Rodgers. Let's put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. This is not a new idea that the Giants will come up with about pressuring Aaron Rodgers. They've been facing that for 2 years, really. So their offense is designed to take advantage of some of those blitzes and some of those games that they're using up front. So I expect the Packers will be well prepared, and I expect they'll be acutely aware of Pierre-Paul and his pair of lips that keep flapping in the wind a little too often.